Next on Broadway Profiles, Oscar fever meets Broadway. We'll talk to one of the stars of one of this award season's favorites, Da 5 Bloods. Plus, Sophia Ann Caruso is here to talk about her new Netflix movie, music, and Beetlejuice fandom. And Mean Girls star Barrett Wilbert Weed dishes on her role in the new TV series from indie filmmaker Ed Burns. I'm Tamsin Fidel, and this is Broadway Profiles, presented by Broadway.com. Welcome to the show and welcome to the heart of awards season. I'm Tamsin Fidel. Well, the Golden Globes and the Grammys are in the books, and we're still waiting on the Tony Awards now. The Oscars, they're right around the corner. And maybe you don't know it, but one of Broadway's biggest voices is in one of this year's most celebrated movies. Norm Lewis is co-starring in Spike Lee's Da 5 Bloods, streaming now on Netflix. It's a story of 4 African-American veterans returning to Vietnam to find the remains of their fallen squad leader and to search for buried treasure. The film, nominated for Best Ensemble Performance at the SAG Awards, and it's expected to see some love from the Academy. As for Norm Lewis, well, he made history a few years back as Broadway's first Black Phantom of the Opera. We talked about his career, starring in a Spike Lee joint, and much more. Check it out.
Spike Lee, have you known him for a long time? And
he goes to see Broadway all the time. And we were lucky enough to have him come see Porgy and Bess when I was in it. I think he came like 4 or 5 times. And he brought his family and other friends, and we built up a rapport that way. And then just over the years, seeing him at different events. And then finally, I got a chance to do his show, She's Gotta Have It, the TV series. And from that, he got in contact with me to do Da 5 Bloods.
And congratulations with the nominations for the SAG Award, which always, means a lot going forward.
Absolutely. Just being part of that ensemble was tremendous. Just to be in the movie itself was just tremendous for me. But to be recognized that way with such great cast members, I just feel so honored, and especially being picked by our peers for this nomination. So I'm really excited.
Talk about the character, what you were drawn to initially with Eddie.
Well, Eddie, is one of those guys who's kind of a showboat, kind of a charmer. He's got a lot of the qualities that I think that I might have. The only thing is that, he's hiding all of his behind all of that, a lot of pain and a lot of challenges, because he was married before several times, and he spent a lot of money, but he's still kind of trying to have that same image of being rich and a showboat. And then it finally comes to a head, and he has to let the guys know that he's not what he appears to be. And so it was great to have that dynamic in the movie, and then eventually finding out what happens to him at the end.
Yes, I did scream out loud. I'll tell you that. I screamed out loud. I didn't feel like I had a warning.
No spoiler alerts. No spoiler if you haven't seen it yet.
What was it like to see it kind of all come together with the historical footage? Because I always think that obviously adds so much, but really just puts things into context.
Well, for me, there's many different layers. I mean, to work with Spike Lee is, he's such a genius, and he knows what he wants and when he wants it and how he wants it. You could go to him and say, does this line work? Does this line work? And actually, some of the lines were made up on the spot. He would say, no, say this. Or he would say, what would Eddie say in this moment? But also finding out the fact that I didn't know the statistics as far as African Americans being there. All the movies that I'd seen before, there were, Black guys sprinkled within the scenes and around, the perimeter. For us to find out that America at the time was 11% African American. That's both men and women. Mm-hmm. But we made up 33% of the army in Vietnam. And at just those numbers, I was like, wow, I had no idea. So it really helped us develop our characters as we were going on with the movie.
I got my gal, I got my song, got him the whole day long.
You sang on set, correct? In the movie?
I did.
I read that. I was reading a bunch of stuff and I'm like, I have to ask you about it.
Yeah, there was a moment where I had to do my critical scene and get ready for that, and so as I was getting ready for that, there was a moment that Spike came to me and say, "Look, as soon as we get this done, we're heading back to New York. Sing something from Porgy and Bess. A boat leaving from New York." I'm like, "Oh, okay." And literally, as I was getting the makeup and all the stuff on, I was singing, "There's a boat leaving for New York."
Beetlejuice was one of Broadway's first casualties of the pandemic shutdown. That musical will not be returning, but we know one of its brightest stars will be. Right, Paul?
That's right, Tamsin. At just 19 years old, Sophia Anne Caruso's already had an awesome career, and now she's about to star in a movie alongside two of the biggest stars in Hollywood. Charlize Theron and Kerry Washington just signed on to join Sophia in the upcoming Netflix film, The School for Good and Evil. It's adapted from the fantasy YA novel of the same name. We're especially excited about this interview since it's one of our first in-person conversations since the Broadway shutdown 1 year ago. So here we are, we're in the Catskill Mountains. We've actually both been spending a lot of time up here during quarantine.
Since the pandemic began, we did some socially distance all the way from the back of the yard waves, kind of keep up, just see each other.
A lot of people sort of shut down during the pandemic, and then other people have been able to find creativity and sort of focus. What's it been like for you sort of emotionally and creatively to go through this time?
There's a certain pressure to be creating and doing something now because it's like we all have all this time to do things. We should be, creating and, producing our work. I've been, creating a decent amount of work, luckily, and definitely a difficult environment and culture to, be doing stuff in. I just dropped a song and it's doing really well. Spotify put me on one of their playlists, and Apple Music put me on one of their playlists. Spotify actually, they have like an indie playlist, and they put me at the top of that. It was really exciting. I got email like, "Oh, you put it this playlist," and I clicked the link, and I was like right at the top. It was really cool. And yeah, I've got lots of more music, coming down. Daddy's moving forward. Daddy, get it loose and more. Mama, won't you send a sign? I'm running out of hope and time.
You have such an interesting career. You have a lot of offbeat. Let's talk a little bit about Beetlejuice. So Beetlejuice has a crazy fan following. What was it like to find yourself in the middle of something with such a passionate fan base?
It's a crazy fan base. It's insane. I didn't have a TikTok until, midway through the pandemic. So I didn't understand what was going on in that world. I was hearing all about it, but I had no idea. So to be able to go on there after the fact and be like, oh my gosh, these people are so crazy about the show, it's just really cool. And even on Instagram and the rest of socials, people were really loving it. It still are. People talk about the album all the time, and people are getting excited for it to, someday go back to Broadway, which is just super cool. And even at the stage door, like the fans were just crazy and super passionate, and I love that, and I love meeting people.
What are you sort of most proud of when you look back on what you achieved sort of coming out of it?
I think the thing I'm most proud of is the work that I put into it, because when you are doing 8 shows a week and you're on stage for 85% or more of the show, it's a lot of work, and I applaud every Broadway performer, ensemble members, everybody, because it's hard work to do that 8 shows a week, especially all the leading ladies. I really admire all of them.
You are filming a big movie for Netflix. How do you land a movie gig during a pandemic?
When I left Beetlejuice, I was leaving to go do TV and film. So this is like one of those things, and what happened was I had just left, and then 2 weeks later, Broadway shut down. School for Good and Evil was something that I kind of had in the works for a while. It tells the story of 2 girls who are best friends. One of them is sort of a princess, and the other one is sort of the outcast, very Lydia-like. The other one is actually, but I'm not playing that role, I'm playing this sort of princessy one. But this is so much larger than life, and I think that's part of why I love it.
Indie filmmaker Ed Burns is out with a new show streaming on Epix. It's called Bridge and Tunnel, and it's starring one of the original cast members of Broadway's Mean Girls. Broadway.com correspondent Charlie Cooper has her story.
Thanks, Tamsin. Theater fans love Barrett Wilbert-Weed for her performances in Heathers and Mean Girls. Now she's taking her talents into homes across the country in the Epix TV series Bridge and Tunnel. I spoke with her about her small screen pivot and so much more. Talk about how similar or different you are from this character, and tell us a little bit about the show also.
So it's an Ed Burns creation. If you're not familiar with Ed Burns, it's probably because you were born in like the 80s or the 90s, but he was a huge deal. He like came on the scene as this like very like handsome indie filmmaker, from the New York City area in the 90s. He's launched like countless careers.
Do me a favor. Let's toast to the graduate.
It is so good to see you guys again.
This is his first pass at a story about his own childhood. So it's set in Long Island. Season 1 starts in 1980. A bunch of, not kids, not adults who grew up on the same block, and they're all friends and they're all trying to make something of themselves. They're all kind of artistically inclined. We have to wait until the whole show airs to see if we're going to get a second season. So fingers crossed that we do, because there was so much that Eddie wanted to set in New York, but we were shooting during COVID, so all of season 1 ended up taking place in Long Island, and a lot of it was taking place in like backyards or outside because he was trying to be super careful. So we're looking forward to a possible season 2.
They want me to have lunch with them all week.
As someone with a Broadway background, does it do something for you to be able to take a role that allows you to not only act but also sing similar to what you're able to do when you're performing on Broadway?
Sure, yeah. I mean, it's acting on camera is such a new skill set for me. Like, I've been studying theater and that version of acting and stage acting for, most of my life. Obviously, when I get to, sing or perform, I'm like super comfortable doing that. So, so when we were shooting, you will see that at the end of the season. There's definitely a performance moment. It was nice to not sing until the end of season 1, because it made me feel like super validated as an actor, just to be like, oh, okay, I can hold my own in scenes that are not leading up to a song.
We're getting one of our first looks at the live performance comeback in New York City. We're talking about the NY Pops Up Festival, that series of live performances in the city and around the state.
In the time I went and said goodbye, now I'm back and not ashamed to cry. Ooh, baby, here I am, signed, still delivered, I'm yours.
Two of Broadway's best just recently shared the spotlight on the Lower East Side. Tony winner Gavin Creel and Shoshana Bean sang a few songs at an impromptu concert on Essex Street. From now through Labor Day, there will be hundreds of surprise performances with major stars, and they could happen literally anywhere, from a subway station to a street corner to Central Park. We still have plenty more to talk about on this edition of Broadway Profiles. Coming up, when Broadway comes back, it'll be a whole new world. You'll meet the star of Aladdin and find out how he's spending his time during the New York City shutdown. I'm Tamsin Fidel, and you're watching Broadway Profiles. Broadway is, of course, still dark, but live theater is returning to Australia. And one of our faves has been starring in a production of Pippin down in Sydney. But when Broadway comes back, Ainsley Mellon is expected to jump back into the title role of Aladdin, and he's this week's fresh face.
Not coming from the States and sort of viewing Broadway from afar, it always seemed like this sort of unreachable, unattainable thing, especially, growing up in a country town in Australia. Growing up in Bathurst was a beautiful experience. I always look back on that time fondly. I remember, traveling down to Sydney to the theatre and to the city and the harbour and sort of being swept up in this energy. And I guess that's part of the reason, why I pursued this sort of career. And I always said if I wasn't doing performing, I would probably be a maths teacher or something like that. But, ask me to do calculations now and I couldn't help you, I'm sorry. My mum and dad put me into dance lessons when I was about 3 or 4 years old. So it felt like I was performing from a very, very young age. I remember getting the soundtrack to Mary Poppins when I was younger, because I love tap musicals. I used to take this out to the dance room, this soundtrack, and play that and dance along to it, dance along to the tapping sounds that I could hear on the recording. I finished school and then I joined a children's group called High Five. There was 5 hosts and we used to entertain on stage and screen for the kids. We used to go overseas for probably 8 months of the year, traveling throughout Southeast Asia, the Middle East. We would come back and do Australia and New Zealand, and then for the rest of the year we would be filming our TV series. But just sort of its own little bubble of superstardom, but for children. It was so bizarre. And then you would come home and you would just sort of fall back into anonymity and be yourself, which was really cool. Landing Aladdin in Australia was already just mind-blowing. The fact that we get to transfer to Broadway, it's the stuff of dreams, isn't it? People still come up to stage door and they say, you know, I love this film and I love this character and this means so much to me. You're reminded of the gravity of what you're doing for these people every day. It's not heart surgery or it's not something like that, but at the same time you're bringing joy to these people. I used to watch that film when I was little and now I get to play that character on stage. And who doesn't want to be able to step into a Disney film, you know, every now and then? It's just a happy place to be.
Well, still ahead, Broadway dancers defying gravity. We're going to talk to one of the amazing members of the Wicked Ensemble about why he's just got to dance. This is Broadway Profiles, and we'll be right back. The long-anticipated film adaptation of Wicked is finally slated to happen in the coming year, and we could not be more excited about this. But make no mistake, there is nothing like seeing it on the Broadway stage. And that's why we talked to one of the awesome members of the ensemble, Josh Daniel Green, about why he's just got to dance.
Hi, I'm Josh Daniel Green. I'm from Lakeville, Minnesota, small town outside of Minneapolis. I grew up dancing there at a dance competition studio. It's the classic story. I followed my sister to dance class. I thought that looked really fun and I should definitely try that, you know, as boys do, and I loved it. I took my first dance class at 5 years old. It was a ballet and tap class. I believe the tap song for the recital was Rhinestone Cowboy. It's like a little cowboy vest and like there was a little cactus on stage. I was obsessed with the cactus that was on stage as well and tried to dance near it. I kind of took a winding path to musical theater from growing up. I was always super inspired by the older dancers in our studio that were training so hard and they were off to professional things, and I started to see that it was a possibility to make it a career, make it my life, that it wasn't just something I did for fun. I had a really fulfilling dance company career. We were making a lot of pieces, we were touring the United States and Europe, and I really felt fulfilled by all of that. But at the same time, I was also wanting to experience something with the storytelling aspect of dance, that dance can be a part of something larger than just abstract dance for dance sake. I think my first fall in love moment with musical theater was seeing 42nd Street at Chanhassen Dinner Theaters. I listened to it all the time and sing along with it, and just kind of live your dreams in your head about doing something like that on stage one day. It's incredibly fulfilling to think that, I started as a kid in a dance class in a strip mall. And, to be dancing on Broadway. I'm doing this right now. I am dancing on Broadway. I am making a living doing what I love, and I get to share that with other people. And it's an incredibly full circle moment.
This is Broadway Profiles. We're back in just a few. For the latest Broadway news and buzz, let's go ahead and send it over to Broadway.com's editor-in-chief, Paul Wontorek.
Thanks, Tamsin. I've got some Broadway-friendly movie news to share.
I'm coming away from me. I hear the walls repeating.
Hadestown leading man Reeve Carney has landed a dream gig, playing rocker Jeff Buckley on screen. Carney will headline the biofilm Everybody Here Wants You, which is being made with the late singer-songwriter's estate. Buckley died tragically in 1997 when he was only 30 years old, after recording just one studio album, Grace, which is considered one of the greatest rock recordings ever. After playing a Broadway diva in The Prom, Meryl Streep is once again headed to the stage in the movie Places, Please. She'll play a stage star whose confidence is suddenly shaken when rehearsing for a role, forcing her on a journey of self-discovery. The director, Pulitzer Prize and Tony-winning playwright Michael Christopher, is also a longtime friend and former co-star of Streep's. Finally, Paramount Pictures has acquired the rights to The King and I, with plans to make another film of the popular Rodgers and Hammerstein show. It's the story of the unlikely friendship between the King of Siam and a British schoolteacher. The musical was previously adapted into the classic 1956 film, a 1999 animated film, and was last seen on Broadway in the 2015 revival. That's it for me. Back to you, Tamsin.
All right, that's going to do it for us. Until next time, I'm Tamsin Fadal, and this is Broadway Profiles, presented by Broadway.com.